Hello everybody, my name is Nordgarn, and this is a video about how I made the Minecraft mansion map for Inferno Plus's Halocraft mod for Halo 3. I did the design of the level and put it all together, but actually like the tech behind the level, the the blocks being able to be destroyed, that's all Inferno, and I really want to thank him for showing me how to work with that and being patient as I learned. I made this Minecraft map so it's basically to design stuff and help me out, and eventually I started importing stuff, and that's what we're going to get to in a little bit. But I did want to show you the process behind here. This was the first design. I wanted to do kind of like a 2-fort style map. I kind of ran out of blocks because I wanted to do these wool small wool blocks, carpet. But you can't really do that very easily because they're just one block high, and Chief kind of just runs into them and stands there. So if I had eliminated those, I probably would have had quite a few more blocks. The way that I count blocks, I've been using these building gadgets by Direwolf20, and I can just select an area and it will tell me all the blocks in that selection. Another cool thing about these building gadgets, like this copy paste gadget, is you can put down these template managers, and you can actually put your gadget in here and you can hit copy. And what that does is once I come over to here, I can paste the JSON with all of the blocks and stuff like that, which allows me to go into another world, right, and pick out a mansion, which is how I got these guys. And actually a lot of these other rooms, I just didn't put the full mansions in there. I just scouted out for rooms. And you can basically paste. You have to have a template, and you paste the thing onto the template, and then you have this my thing template. And then you can load my thing into the building gadget. Fantastic. There's also the exchange gadget. You can use this to exchange large portions of the world. Some weird patterns, but you can do columns. Yeah. So this is really nice when you're trying to change out all these blocks, because they were actually wood, I think, in the original. Yeah, they were actually these plank types. And that's really neat. There's also this building gadget, which is the name of the mod, and it builds to you. There's also stairs and horizontal wall, vertical wall. This is really useful for building things pretty quickly. The delete gadget, which will delete stuff. You can undo stuff when you do it, so it's not terrible. And then same thing with the copy paste gadget. You can rotate things around, you can paste them down, you can undo them. It's really nice for this kind of work. The idea for this was kind of like 2-fort over a cliff, maybe make some destructible areas over there. Yeah, it was kind of a cool idea. Didn't really work out. I am actually happy with the design that I got in the end, which is over here. As you can see, I went through a couple different room designs. I just grabbed them out of these two mansions here, maybe a couple other ones. Eventually, this was the final design here. The wool blocks at the top are basically like the parts of the map that are going to be indestructible, that are still going to be wood. I had to make a couple of them like that just because, I don't know, actually, I think I might not have wanted to extend these, or actually maybe there's too many blocks because some of these are too wide, and there is a limitation on how many you can have in like a quote-unquote chunk of blocks. After that, I actually modeled this portion of the map by hand. None of the stuff that's destructible, but it was more like this over here, or this one. I had to model all this stuff by hand, including these blocks, because they're now part of the map, just for a height thing. I can't remember why I chose this height. I think it was because of the jail. Yeah, it's definitely because of the jail height. So I just made a big flat sheet and tiled it 40 by 40 and extruded some of these objects out. Some of them were kind of pain to model, like this one. I'm not really a 3D model guy. I don't really do much of it. I imported some DS2 armors to Dark Souls 1, and that's about it. So I learned how to do some stuff in 3D. And yeah, I eventually put this all together with both jails. And then after that, I had to decorate it because, well, I just had a map, a playable map, but like no scenery. Also, for the play area, the stone fences on the outside, I modeled these as well, and I had to attach them to the play area so that it's all one solid mesh and the player would be able to stand on it. If it's not a one solid mesh, there's no collision. So yeah, I modeled all of this, and I could have done it in a better way where I just imported these, because these actually don't import as a solid piece. They're actually kind of like planes. It doesn't really know how to make them solid. So you'd have to basically import these as like a facade and give them a material that doesn't collide with anything, and then make like an invisible box of cobblestone along the row, and then you could walk over it, but then you'd kind of just walk straight. Whereas when you actually walk on these stone fences in Halo 3, it does make walking along them a little precarious, so I kind of like that. And then for the scenery, that's where these come in. So this was like the first thing that I imported. It was actually it ended up being the last thing too, because the import that I made was not very good. I found out I could optimize it a little bit better with JMC to OBJ, which is the program that I use to export. But yeah, this was the first one. It was kind of painful because I had to manually take all of the textures and materials from JMC to OBJ and port them over to the multi-material I was using. Eventually I got it down to kind of like a automated process, and we're going to go talk about that right now. Okay, so this is what I imported for the middle piece right below the play area. This is just actually the first one that I did some automatic max scripting stuff with. This is the same, except with kind of the windows. I just did that for looks, and then I used this copy paste gadget to copy just the interior that I wanted, put it in here, and then patch it up just a little bit. Once that's done, I can exit out and go into the program, export it, and go into Max. There's a couple of other ones. The bigger ones are the left and right wing of the mansion itself. They are quite big. I almost thought about splitting them up into 2 imports, but I was able to kind of like get the poly count down with a couple of tricks. You can't use optimization if you have torches, if you want to use the torch script that I have, unfortunately. But there is, more stuff you can do. You can delete, these faces here, right? Like, because nobody's ever going to see this side, and the back and the bottom and the top. And I'll show you how I do that with JMC to OBJ in just a second. Okay, so once you have JMC to OBJ open, you want to load the world, and you can see that you are here. Here's the X. You can click and drag, and you can drag and get the shape right. If you on the sides, like I was saying, you can optimize it kind of. If you go on to like exactly where the block starts, it will do that for you basically. I'm not doing it here. I'm going a block out here because I want these faces. There are some that could be seen by the player. And then here with the floor and ceiling levels, what I do is I basically click up until I get this, which means that I've gone past the grass level. And I think this is it. It might be 1 level higher. I might be -60 is what I want, but we'll see in just a second. So with the export, you can leave pretty much everything default. Map scale needs to be 40, and then you want center. But other than that, just whatever you kind of want to use. You definitely want to export textures, or you're not really going to know what anything is. You can select blocks to export, and have coarse dirt and stuff blacklisted, and I got grass block that won't get exported. That just kind of helps. If you have these blocks, you don't want to turn them off, but you can have these presets for blocks that you don't want exported, and that can help the cleanup process quite a bit. So you're going to export, and you're going to you're going to export it, and you're going to open up 3ds Max or Blender. If you're doing Blender, you might have to port these scripts over to Python to be used with Blender, but like it's probably not too hard to port most of them. There are some comments explaining what I do in them. No, I don't want to save this. I'm importing this. Yeah. So I think I wanted to go 1 up from that to 60. Okay, there we go. As you can see, the sides are cut off. I didn't do the top because you'd have to adjust the ceiling. That's a little more complicated to do, although it is possible. You'll see as the ceiling goes down. But you can actually just delete those after optimizing. So you want to optimize, and you want to reserve your material boundaries. I don't know what auto edge does, but I just kind of do it. Make sure everything's okay. Don't worry about the textures for now. We can fix those by going to UVW map, hitbox, give it 40, 40, 40. And in case you're wondering, those are the dimensions of each individual block. It's 40 by 40 by 40 and max units, whatever it is. You also may need to adjust the gizmo because sometimes, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, sometimes you get weird stuff like this. So you adjust the gizmo, bring it all to 0. Usually that works. Sometimes you have to bring it to like plus or negative 10. But just look at something that would be out of place and do that. Yeah. You also might need to like select a specific part and redo like the UV map and then rotate that part because yeah, this is not the way that it's supposed to be going. It's supposed to go from left to right because of the way the log is facing. So there's some small cleanup details to do there, but it's really not a whole lot of work. Most of it actually comes in correctly. Yeah, and then you've got this, and you can collapse all. You're going to need to collapse all. Okay, so once you have this in, you want to select the object, open up your Max script with the rename materials to imports, run that. It's going to spit out all the materials. And that is actually going to rename all the materials here in the multi-material for use later when we're going to match them up and automatically move them to the material in our scene. Once you've done that, you can make an edit mesh here, go to polygons, select all of them, Control A, and you want to clear all and auto smooth. That will get rid of any weird, there will be weird shading, especially when you import it into Halo. But yeah, that's all you need to do here, and then you can just save it as Mansion Object Demo. As you can see, I tried this earlier and failed. Over in our map project, we're going to import and we're going to merge, and we want this demo meme here. We're going to select it, and where'd you go, demo thing? I didn't select it. Default, import it, solo it, check it out. Looks pretty cool. So these torches have these polygons here and these faces. There's 2 faces to each one of these planes. And the way that I solved this was I actually, they're all kind of clumped together. So I just count and skip 2 and put the torch in, and then skip 9 more, and then it goes to the next one. And then I delete all of these torch planes. You have to have a torch, %sign torch, or whatever you, actually it's in the script as a variable now, 1 second. Yeah, you have to have this, or you can change it to whatever you want. You know, you might have a different torch or something like that that you want to use. But this is an instance, and I just use it to, you know, save space and memory in the game. There's a whole bunch of tree instances in the map because, well, there's a lot of trees, and I had to fit them all, and that was the only way. You need to make sure, actually, that you collapse this mesh. Like I said earlier, you do need it to be collapsed fully, and then it's going to replace the torches. If they're off a little bit, because you're in like this solo mode, you can actually come up here, select all of them, right click this over here, and just give them like, you know, +1 or whatever you needed to do to like line them up properly, or, you know, +1 here. So once you do that, you have all these torches and you have this is good to go. You can put this into your frame level, and the last thing you need to do to it, actually, so it's not good to go, I lied, is move import materials to scene materials. So what this is going to do is it's going to now take all these renamed materials, match them up to the big scene material that I have in here, which is not that one, this one, which is called Facade. And see, I have all these names. See, and then you have to put the material, the destination material here. Mine's called Facade. It's this name here that you have there. Just, you know, copy and paste it. And it's going to go through and it's going to switch everything over after I have it selected. 1 second. It says select something. If you don't have something selected, it's nicer than it failing in a weird way. And there you see it added a whole bunch of new ones because my materials are named funky, and the original rename script had a bunch of filters for this. I lost it in a tragic Control-S accident. But yeah, just use the default names from JMC to OBJ if you can, like if you're just starting the project, because it's a lot easier than making a bunch of filters in the rename script. But yeah, that is about it. Once you have this, you can actually import it into the map, assuming you have enough, you know, space. If you can see, the portals here are pretty crazy. These are very, well, pretty precise. I had to mess with them quite a bit to get this all in. There's even some flowers on the ground here. I didn't have enough time to put grass, but I did put some flowers on the ground. Yeah, so I had a couple other things I could talk about. The light mapper stuff. Funny enough, this was all perfectly fine, right? My area, my level play area was perfectly fine with the light mapper. And I think Infernos play area had problems with the light mapper. But mine was the facade area. This took me so long to get right. I mean, part of it was just this bug, and I can show you in Max, but this bug for this pillar. I have like a light blocking layer down here, and in the Halo 3 modding tools, there's like an explicit character that you add to the end of the material name to make it like block or not block light, so light goes through it. There's also one for making the texture invisible, which is what I wanted. I wanted something that would block light but wasn't invisible. So I didn't give it the ignore light flag, but I gave it the invisible flag. But apparently invisible still means that light will go through it. Yeah, I'm just big dumb. That fixed that, which was a huge pain in the ass. And then we had these lights here on the inside of the rooms kind of went in last second because I wanted the light to just kind of come through the hallway, and then it would be kind of dark and spooky because it's a, you know, mansion. But no, it wasn't really working that well. Like this cat, you wouldn't even be able to see the cat. So yeah, I had to run the light mapper quite a few times just to get the lights right. But next project, I am going to look into light mapping stuff before I start the map, so I know what I'm doing at this stage, because that was definitely my biggest downfall. Yeah, so real quick, I'm just going to go through what these Max scripts do. I put some comments, but This one, like I said, just renames everything, renames the multi-material name, and that way it can be matched up. You can also put filters in here, like I'm filtering out this thing because it's not really a texture, just making it skip, and inside the import material thing it knows that, oh, if it's skipped, just skip it. This is remove torch planes. This is basically the replace torches with instance, but without the replacing with torches. It just deletes them. This is kind of an optional thing if you don't want to actually put torches, or you want to put them manually or something like that, or whatever it is, you can use this script. Otherwise, you can replace them. Here are the numbers you want to mess with if they're not like right and you want to fix the script for it to be correct. You also will not be able to do this if you optimize mesh in JMC to OBJ. So keep that in mind. The script will break. And then there's the move import material to seed material. It basically gets the destination material, goes through, finds it. This is why MaxScript is so, I don't know, it's a scripting language, and using open and close parentheses for your brackets, fantastic. I think there's a reason why Inferno said what he said about it. So yeah, it goes through, it kind of does a name check as well to make sure everything is named correctly, and then it adds the materials. As you saw, it adds the materials to the end if there is no match. So you might be doing some Control Z's. I would definitely recommend saving maybe before you run this, if you mess up the names, or just use the names from JMC to OBJ in the first place, and then you'll be fine. This last script is also going to be in the repository of scripts that I put in the description. Basically what this does is it goes through every single object in your scene. If it starts with a percent and it has a number character basically in it at the end, it will replace with the original thing. So this is all for instances. So like the percent torches, it would replace every single torch that has like percent 001. Let's see. Yeah, percent big tree 32. So it'll go through all these and replace it with this one here as an instance, which is pretty useful because if your instances are broken, then you don't get the benefit, and then the thing yells at you. This is just a target number so that it just goes through up to 100 to find up to 100 instances before it quits and goes to the next one. This is so you're just not in an infinite loop or something. Also, actually, no, it's for if you accidentally skipped a number. So if like you had 97, but then 99 and 100, well, it would usually stop because it'd be like, oh, this is not the right thing, because it's just going one by one. Yeah, that's that. Lastly, I just wanted to thank everyone for watching. This is the first time I've done anything like this on this channel. Let me know if I should do more explanations of things that I've worked on. I also have other mods I'm working on for Elden Ring. I could possibly do some explanations when those get released. Yeah, once again, thank you to Inferno Plus for having me on this project and teaching me all this cool stuff. And I hope you guys really enjoy the map, and can't wait to see you out there. Peace out.